here really calls on our four pillars for the mission of the American Jazz Museum, which is really to celebrate and exhibit jazz through four pillars: P for performance, E for education, E for exhibition, and R for research at America's Jazz Crossroads, 18th and Vine.
Personally, the Jazz Museum is a place where I was nurtured as a young musician. I actually, was given a great opportunity, to play with a lot of great musicians here. Before I got involved at the American Jazz Museum, musically I wasn't really, where I needed to be, surrounded by a lot of different influences and stuff like that kind of threw me off, but kind of coming to the Jazz Museum put me on track and put me on top of everything. My first probably inspiration was coming to the Jazz Museum, actually coming down to the Blue Room, and I came with a friend, and it was a jam session night, and actually they called my name up to play drums, and I didn't know I was going to get called up there. That was my first time playing up there. They threw me in the fire, and now I'm here. That night it was great. It was a great experience for me. We as jazz lovers and people who love music need to support and keep jazz alive.
Through me, the dream continues. I have a venue of freedom, built on black cries, black eyes, witnessing dreamers that dreamt dreams and dreams that died, dreams that cried, and mourned the death of the king.
Personally, the American Jazz Museum is home for me. It's where it's the one thing, that stays the same. The third Tuesday of every month, it's gonna be jazz poetry jams. And it's just home. It's where I belong. It's where I fit in. It's where I'm me. When I came to the American Jazz Museum, to the Blue Room, it was kind of like an introduction to, people do this for a living, And so I was just exposed to just spoken word, like as a whole, as an art form.
And not only as an art form, but as a means with which to create change. We found out that, people were actually trying to change the world with their art, and make big steps in the world like jazz did and still continues to do, and that we could use poetry in that same way and affect a change in whatever it is that we saw fit. And it was just a beautiful thing that the Jazz Museum introduced us to. She introduced me to the Jazz Museum and to everything that was going on in the Jazz District, and it strengthened our relationship and gave us a bond that has just endured. The Jazz Museum sent us to Brave New Voices 3 times now, in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, Illinois, and in Los Angeles, California.
I could only think about how many lives would go unaffected without jazz. How many Taylor and Roberts, would never be introduced to spoken word.
To be here in Kansas City and have the museum here, it was just a great opportunity to get involved and with something I really love.
To me personally, we moved here a little over 5 years ago, relocated here, had absolutely no friends except for our son and daughter-in-law, and needed to get involved. And the American Jazz Museum was like the first thing we got involved in, and from then on, we were just super involved.
We're just happy that we can devote some time and some of our energy and whatever little talents we've got to do whatever the museum needs. I mean, we've stuffed envelopes, we've cataloged records, we act as docents, we did a little ushering, and whatever needs to be done, that's what we're here to do. The thing that I think has impressed me, I'll be the first to admit, I grew up and had a career and we retired, and I really didn't have many close black friends. And to get here and to be just enveloped in this family here, it's a
So
super,
welcomed.
super great feeling. I just
So welcomed.
feel like one of the crew.
I don't think there's anything anywhere in the world like this. The ability to come into this space and see this enormous collection of films of musicians, most of whom are gone away, we'll never see them again in person, and to see them in performance. I don't think there's anything like this in the world.
Couldn't bear it without you. I don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore.
We're honored in Kansas City to be able to say that it's home for not only the sound, not only the people, but the history and the museum itself that captures that history and those people. So we should know how lucky we are to have it right here in Kansas City.
It really helped me be the musician I am today.
Something as important as jazz music, something as important to our city and important to the world. Just, we can't let it die. It's ours. It's Kansas City's.
Long-range goals for this museum in terms of its impact and its reach is really to reach millions of people per year.
My role as mayor is always one of promoting those things that are best about Kansas City. And the American Jazz Museum is one of the things that is best about Kansas City.
The American Jazz Museum is the only brick and mortar museum of its kind anywhere in the world.